Oh yeah, that's not gonna work. Oh, okay. Happy Friday the 13th, everybody.
Talk, shop, pop, movies.
The Friday the 13th set is unlike any other set, but that's not exactly what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about the films themselves. Yes, I plan on ranking, well, not ranking, but scoring all 12. Why is there not 13 yet? Of the Friday the 13th films. And how am I going to do that, you ask? With the very obvious Jason mask scale. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? Friday the 13th, 1980, the original, the OG Friday the 13th film. This cover is awesome, by the way. I love that. Yes, it wasn't the first slasher film, but it was a big one. I personally am not the biggest fan of the original Friday the 13th. Yes, I am apparently a Jason whore. But it's not bad. It's kind of boring, to be honest with you. And when you're trying to watch it in a marathon style, it just kind of gets more boring as you go. So to start it off with this one, it's kind of a downer. As a buddy of mine refers to it, crappy Psycho. And that's kind of where I am. Honestly, I would take The Burning, which was supposedly shot around the same time, but written before this, any day of the week. The original Weinstein films. And we all love the Weinsteins. Despite an amazing performance by Betsy Palmer towards the end of the film, which she literally did because she needed a car, I begrudgingly am going to give Friday the 13th, Part 1, 6 out of 10 Jason masks. 1981, we have Friday the 13th, Part 2, Jason Harder. That's not called that. Yeah. A lot of people love this one. This is Sackhead Jason, as it is most famously called, which totally didn't rip off The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Because, you know, in that movie, he has 2 eye holes. In this movie, he has 1. It's totally different. I don't mind Sackhead Jason. Some people love him. Some people hate him. I like that Jason is the main character, even though it makes essentially no sense based on the original film. But once again, I think it's a better made movie than the first one. It looks better. It sounds better. It's a little more fun on its own. But in marathon style, it's literally like watching the same thing over again, except it's a big dude and you know it's Jason this time, instead of someone you don't know. It's like watching the same movie again, just a little bit better. That having been said, due to the lack of originality it has, I mean, compare it to even Halloween 1 and 2, which came out the same year. It was a direct sequel to the first one, which makes it seem like one big movie. You look at Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 and 2, they took a big chance with Nightmare 2. It didn't really pay off at the time, but now it's like a fan favorite. Yeah, it's compared to the other Part 2s, it doesn't really have anything going for it. Based on quality in comparison to the first film, I too would give Friday the 13th Part 2 6 out of 10 Jason masks. Oh, Friday the 13th Part 3. This is an amazing cover as well. I love that. The 3D, of course, because it was the law during the 80s that your third film had to be in 3D at the time. Once again, it's essentially the same thing as a second movie, except in this one, you have the cheese-tacular 3D gore effects, which I personally love, and it makes it way more entertaining than the first two to me. You get the iconic hockey mask look of Jason for the first time. Who doesn't love that? He's looked better in other movies with the hockey mask, but it's an important thing. It's stuck around for like 30 years for a reason, right? 40 years. What the hell am I talking about? It's 40 years. Jesus. And this one arguably has the best score from Manfredini that we've ever gotten. The Techno Friday the 13th theme. So basically, basing it on the first two, watching them in a row, which I did when the set came out, which is the same time I got this awesome like jumpsuit thing, I have more fun with this one than I do the first two, which is the point of watching these movies. So it might not quite be as visceral, for lack of a better word, as the first two. I think it's a hell of a lot more entertaining. So because of that, I would give Friday the 13th Part 3 7 out of 10 Jason masks. So Evil took a year off in 1983, but luckily 1984 came back with what was going to be the final Friday the 13th film of all time. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, part 4. This is regarded as arguably the best Friday the 13th film, and I would more or less agree with that. It has a more badass Jason. It has a few characters you actually give a shit about with Corey Feldman and his family. So that's a change. It's not just like, oh, here's some teenagers, let's murder them, and it's fun. You don't, like, you kind of care about the final girls in the first couple movies. The third one, whatever. It's just a fun time. This one, you actually want to see these people make it out of there alive. And you get the iconic dance from Crispin Glover, which automatically gives this like an extra 2 stars on top of the other films for me. So, in the whole scheme of the Friday the 13th thing, I would give Final Chapter 9 out of 10 hockey masks. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. This is one I actually grew up with. I had parts 5, 7, and 8 taped off of USA Up All Night alongside my Toxic Avenger trilogy that I used to watch constantly as a kid. So, as a dumb kid, I didn't even notice or pay attention enough to the point that it wasn't actually Jason. It was Roy the entire movie because I'm an idiot. And I was like 7. But having said that, I've always loved Part 5. It is the gnarliest kills in the entire series, in my opinion, give or take 1 or 2 in other films. As a whole, it has the best kills, I would say. It has a couple characters you actually give a shit about, like Part 4, which I like Reggie the Reckless, and not as good Tommy. It's too bad Tommy wasn't like the same actor in all 3 movies, or at least 4 and 5, or 5 and 6 when he was older, I meant. That would have been nice. And this one, it's like, whatever. Or if they would have actually gone like balls to the wall and made Tommy the new Jason, you know, because that would have made sense. But then it wouldn't have been Jason. But it's not Jason anyways, so why not make it Tommy? But I digress. As far as like me having fun watching these movies, for some reason, Part 5 is always the most fun for me. A lot of it's nostalgia. A lot of it's the porta potty death sequence. Ooh, baby, hey, baby. I say that all the time. I say, oh, damn these enchiladas, at least once a week. I would give, and this is probably my hot take of the whole series, Part 5, I would give 10 out of 10 Jason masks. Or should I say 10 out of 10 Roy Burns' masks. Like I said, I had 5, 7, and 8 on tape all the time. Never saw Part 6 until I believe I had the DVD set. And that was probably the only time I ever watched it until I bought this and watched it again. This is an amazing poster, by the way. Part 6 is a hoot and a half. It's self-referential, making fun of itself, zombie Jason hoot. And the kills in it are fun. It's, oddly enough, the only one where there's actually campers at the summer camp. So you finally see actual children in danger, which is cool. It has the amazing 007 parody intro, which, you know, within the first 5 seconds, you know what this movie's all about. It's just a fun time, and that's all it's got to be. And oddly enough, it's the one I've seen the least, like I said, but it's probably one of the better films, even though it doesn't really fit with the series as a whole, at least in its aesthetic. But it has a kick-ass looking Jason with super awesome zombie lightning powers in it. And because of that, I would give Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, 8 out of 10 hockey masks. Up next, we have one I watched lots and lots and lots and lots of times as a kid, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. AKA Jason versus Carrie, which is essentially what it is. But because of that, it's unique, and I love it, and it has what I would consider the coolest looking Jason in the entire franchise, especially when he has his mask off. Goddamn, that thing's creepy. With his, like, bones sticking out of his back and stuff. I love it. The ending is really stupid, where the dad comes back to life out of the lake and, like, grabs Jason. Could have been cool if he was, like, a decomposed corpse, but he's like, I've been here for 30 years. I'm a little wet. But it's a fun movie. You got Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's in it, so that's neat. The lead character, someone you kind of like at least, if not really enjoy. It's a fun time. I've always enjoyed Part 7, and because of Part 7 being Part 7, I will give it 7 out of 10 Jason masks. The love it or hate it sequel of 1989, Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan, or Jason Takes Vancouver, Jason Rides a Boat, whatever you want to call it, to be an asshole. That's a sweet poster, by the way. All these are. I miss, like, when posters were cool. Part 8 was my favorite as a kid. When I watched 5, 7, and 8 over and over and over again, I always liked Part 8 the most. I don't know why. I think I liked the sequence where that boxer punches his head off, or vice versa. And that's still one of my favorite parts. I hate the principal character, so him drowning in the toxic waste-like barrel is very cathartic. It has a very cool looking slimy yellow mask Jason. It has some cool deaths. Only like 10 minutes of the movie's actually in New York. And it's like when he's walking on Times Square and it's like, oh gosh, Jason. And then he lifts his mask up to those damn pumped kids and their music nowadays and freaks them out and they run away. That part's hysterical. But I've always liked Part 8. It's a fun time. It's not a good movie. But are any of these really? Like, objectively, not so much. That's why I'm ranking them on Jason Mask scale and not on, like, 5 stars. You gotta rank them against themselves and within the genre to have a more accurate, depiction of how good these movies really are. So, Part 8, I would rank it about the same, I'd say, as Part 7. So I will say Jason Takes Manhattan, I would give, for the fun factor, 7 out of 10. Jason masks. And then that was it. Paramount said, no more. I don't want any of them Friday the 13th. So the New Line luckily bought the rights to Jason, but not to the title Friday the 13th. So we got Jason Goes to Hell, the final nightmare. What the hell? The Final Friday. I was half right. Final Nightmare is Freddie's Dead. Which I love, by the way. Yeah, this is a cool poster. You never see this specific creature or mask in the movie, but you know what? By the time you're done with the movie, you don't even care. This is a very love it or hate it sequel. A lot of people just like how batshit crazy it is compared to the rest of the series. I'm one of those people. I appreciate that it's completely different than the rest. I love all the Easter eggs. I love the Book of the Dead, the dagger, the crate, the Freddy's glove at the end, also played by Kane Hodder. So Kane Hodder is the only actor to play Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface in his career. He was the Leatherface in the trailer for Texas Chainsaw Part 3, the Leatherface movie. So that is cool. No one else can say that. And he's just a kick-ass Jason. He's the best Jason. Why do you think he played it 4 times? Because he's awesome, and everyone loves him. The director's cut has some gnarly kills, like the old wrist breaking, bones sticking out, fun time. It's got the nerdy lead actor who's in the Friday the 13th series, who's the only actor to be in the movies or the series together. His black heart eating, soul jumping, body to body thing works for some people, doesn't work for others. It works well enough for me. I enjoy the movie. It's probably, besides I'd say the first couple, the most slow moving film of all of them. The least fun, but most unique and interesting, so that helps. So because of that, I would give Jason Goes to Hell. Oh, and the opening is amazing. I'm just going to say that. 7 out of 10 Jason masks. Cut to 2002, we get the glorious Jason X. Uber Jason kicks ass. That's all I'm going to say. Once again, a lot of these are kind of love it or hate it movies, except for like the first 4, which is just like, these are slashers with nothing really on top of it. They're all kind of like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I like all of them. I just like some more than others. Jason X is a self-aware, fun 90-minute romp, and David Cronenberg is the first kill in the movie. So how do you lose? It's goofy. It's a low budget. It's a low budget, big budget sci-fi movie, basically. You know, it's a little run of the mill it's Jason on a spaceship, obviously. But when he becomes Uber Jason, so kick-ass. It has a couple of the most hilarious kills in it. Face smashing on the counter with the liquid nitrogen is like one of the all-time greatest kills in the franchise. Even people who hate this movie would regard that kill as one of the best. And the sleeping bags hologram sequence is like the funniest shit in the world. So as far as just a pure good time, I would give Jason X 8 out of 10 Jason masks. And then it happened. After like a decade of them trying to get it to happen, we finally got Freddie versus Jason. I've always been more of a Freddie guy than a Jason guy. I love Jason, but I love Freddie more, and I love the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise more. They're a little different, you know. They're not 7 of the same movie, basically, with a couple different weird ones thrown in there. But, you know, I love them for what they are. Freddie versus Jason. The worst thing about it is that we lost Kane Hodder as Jason. The guy who plays him is perfectly fine, but it would have been nice to have Kane Hodder in there. I don't think anyone would have cared. He was a little bit shorter than the guy that ended up playing him. And you still got Robert Englund as Freddie, and that's really the most important thing in that movie. But Jason does most of the stuff in this movie, and you actually root for Jason kind of by the end of this movie, which is kind of interesting, because who would you rather have win a fight? A pedophile who tortures people, or a young disabled kid who was picked on as a child fighting the guy who used to, you know, murder children and such? I would say you'd root for Jason, but you gotta love Freddie. So it was a good ending to the entire series for both characters, in my opinion. No, there wasn't a true winner, of course, because God forbid they actually do that in any of these kind of movies. But, you know, it's a fun time. It was a fun time when it came out. When I watch it now, I still have a fun time. Not as much as other films, but I like it. I would give Freddy vs. Jason 7 out of 10 Jason masks. Last but not least, you have Friday the 13th, the 2009, if I'm not mistaken, remake. I like the movie. It's a decent remake. It's not a good remake. It was smart of them to compress parts 1 through 3 into like the opening, which is sadly like the best thing in the whole movie. And then the rest of the movie is basically a modernized version of part 4, minus the, you know, Tommy Jarvis character. It's a decent 2000s remake / horror movie. They're all kind of the same. And that whole generation of horror movies kind of went over my head. Not over my head like I didn't get it, but just like I didn't care, honestly. I was sick of all these remakes and 2000s movies. They're all just like, I want to be Scream or I want to cash in on something that was successful. I really liked the 2003 Texas Chainsaw remake. I honestly saw it before the original, but then I bought the original on DVD when the new one was in theaters, saw that, and loved it just as much. And I've grown to love it more because I'm a smarter person. But this one, I would take any other Friday the 13th movie over this one. The Jason in this movie is a fucking badass, and he's pissed off, and I love it, and he sets traps, and that's really cool. So Jason in this movie kicks ass. The movie itself, like, take this Jason and put him in any other Friday the 13th movie, and I would like it more. But I just don't care. Like, the whole movie's just like, yeah, I know what's going to happen. It's going to be this, and then they're going to kill him at the end, but he's not dead, and then it's been like 13 years, and they haven't even made another one, so what the hell's the point? Long story short, I would give Friday the 13th, 2009, the remake, 5 out of 10 Jason masks. So that does it. That's all 12 Friday the 13th films. I can't wait for the 13th one to finally come out, whatever the hell they're going to do, just because it'll finally be Friday the 13th 13, and that'll be fun. Please leave a comment telling me what your favorite one is, what your least favorite one is, how badly you disagree with how much I like Part 5, and how ashamed I should be for thinking that parts 1 and 2 are boring, because they are. Thank you for watching. Happy Friday the 13th, and I'll see you next time.